Okay, so today is Monday, May 1st. We are 4, technically 5, technically 4 days away from the San Francisco Grand Union Mendocino 600. I have been training all of last week, which mostly entails doing hot hill laps in my civilian clothes. Today we're going to swap out my bottom bracket and chains. There's a lot of noise down there. For bottom bracket we have Shimano BB UN300 113 millimeter length spindle. And for chains we have Shimano 10-speed HGX XTR D-Or XT SLX CM HG95 Dynasys Siltech. It's got a pin, it's got plates, and it goes on your bike. There's 116 lengths. I got both of these from Swell Bike Shop on 41st and Judah in San Francisco, California. Okay, so we're replacing the chain because it's pretty stretched out, and we're replacing the bottom bracket because it is pretty blown out. In there right now I have a 110 millimeter spindle length bottom bracket, I think. But when I tried to replace it with another 110 millimeter bottom bracket a few months ago, I had a problem where what ended up happening is the crank was actually sitting too close to the bottom bracket shell, and it was rubbing against the bottom bracket shell itself. Obviously, fucking companies have their own theories or whatever on manufacturing tolerances, but it's kind of annoying to get a bottom bracket, try to put it on, and then have to redo it 10 minutes later and put the old bottom bracket in. So I've been riding with like a shitty, crunchy, creaky bottom bracket for the last 2 or 3 months, and I've just sort of ignored it. But now that I'm going to be doing the 600 on Saturday, I figured it's time to finally replace it. So the cool thing about this crank set is it has these self-extracting crank bolts, which is super cool. I don't need a crank puller, which is good because my crank puller is broken. Alright, so we got everything switched out. Bottom bracket seems imperceptibly smoother. Can't really tell with things like that until a few hundred miles. The chain is on. As you can see, we have the logo on the outside as recommended per the instructions. The one thing I did change was I rotated the derailleur back end in. Now we won't have problems with the chain dropping, hopefully. That's about it. So another thing I did was raise my saddle about 5/16 of an inch. It was 2 months. Still need to raise my saddle, but this is too high. I feel my toes pointing. If you were riding behind me, you'd probably see like the soles of my shoes. That's too much. Your saddle is that high, it's too high. So you can see I lowered it back down a little bit. That arrow was right where the seat post was initially. So now it's been raised about 2 millimeters. So I don't know what 2 millimeters is. I don't know what the conversion rate is, but just a tiny bit because I'm fucking anal. Alright, I'm riding to work. My seat is still too high. So down to 1 millimeter difference from start. Alright, so it's Wednesday. We're gonna start our carbo-loading today for Friday. For starting out the day, for breakfast I'm having 2 dozen donut holes and a large coffee with 3 scoops of sugar. And we're gonna go meet Sophie for lunch. I don't know what she wants to have, but after that, I'm gonna go out to eat again and eat a super burrito because it is Burrito Wednesday. We're here with Sophie. We just got lunch. We're gonna do a bang bang.
What's a bang bang?
No, it's not a...
Oh, that's where we go have a whole meal at one place and then go right to another place and have another one. Bang, bang. So, just ate a ton of food at this Indian place. Now this, bang, bang.
Bang bang. Well, enjoy your meal, guys.
Why would you... What's wrong with you? Why would you tell her that?
That's what we're doing. That's the truth.
We just ate pho and spring rolls and coffee, and now we're gonna go I'm gonna get a burrito and she's gonna get a quesadilla. But you got stuck behind the bus. So what am I gonna eat on the 600K? The last time I did this route in, I think it was 2021, I ate mostly Nature's something or whatever fig bars, like 2 packs of those, and the $5 box of croissants that you can get from Safeway. And it didn't really work. I ended up on the last 250 kilometers, I ended up throwing up from eating, trying to force myself to eat croissants. And that doesn't really work. Your body can't digest them fast enough in order for you to be able to use them as fuel on the bike. So this time, when I was on my 300, I was talking to the other riders, and most of the other faster people are taking in most of their nutrition in liquid form through maltodextrin mixes. A couple of them homemade, but most of them store-bought. And I decided that's what I would try for the 600. The thing is, though, I'm not exactly flush with cash, so buying 600 kilometers worth of boutique brand maltodextrin mix isn't really in the cards for me. So I decided to try and make my own. However, there's a conspiracy among the providers of such substances and stores like GNC, Rainbow Grocery, Whole Foods, and other sort of natural food stores at least it's my opinion that there's a conspiracy, and that is that they don't want to actually sell maltodextrin in its pure form for you to make your own mix. They want you to buy pre-made mixes. I went to 3 different stores and called several more and was unable to find pure maltodextrin. The closest thing I was able to find was in a city about 5 miles south of where I was, called Carbo-loading. And yeah, I don't want to buy it. I just want to buy pure maltodextrin. And unfortunately, I ended up having to support Amazon and buy it from them, as that was the only retailer I was able to find where the mix would reach me in short enough time to properly prepare for the brevet. Here, I will insert the particular mix that I'm going to be using. It's going to be a 90 grams of carb mix. I'm going to take 12 portions of this. Technically only 10. 2 will already be in my bottles when I leave. I figure 12 is a good number because I know for a fact that I am physically unable to consume one 25-ounce bottle of water in an hour. Yeah, I guess I could technically do it. It's just that's a lot more water than I usually drink. When I did my 400K, I had only drank 11 ounces of water in the first 200K, and that was just pure water, and adding maltodextrin powder and all that shit in there is just going to make it like a little bit more difficult for me to want to drink it. So that figures out to about 45 carbs per hour, which isn't quite enough to continue riding at a consistent speed. So I'm going to need to supplement it with something else. In the past, I've used homemade sticky rice power bars. I got the recipe from the EF Education cycling team website. I use those in my fastest 200K, 7 hours and 1 minute. I was eating those the entire time with just water, and I was able to keep a pretty good pace. They have a lot of fat, and they have a decent amount of protein and carbs. So if I supplement those with the maltodextrin on the way out there, I'll have enough energy for the first 300K. And then I'm thinking there's a bag drop at Indian Creek Campground, which is about 250K into the ride, and then you also reach it on the going back, so that would be 350 kilometers at the 350 kilometer mark. And I think I'm gonna hit it at the 350 kilometer mark instead of the 250 kilometer mark, just for efficiency's sake. But I'll pack a loaf of banana bread pre-sliced and like put into little bags or something there, just to pick up and go. And I'll pack it in like a disposable bag, that way I don't have to carry anything extra or meet up with the sag wagon at the end of the ride, or wait for the sag wagon at the end of the ride, or have to go to Richmond in order to pick up my drop bag. So yeah, banana bread. Gonna take banana bread on the way back. And I think between that and the maltodextrin, that'll be enough. I've heard bad things about, your digestive system and the maltodextrin. It causes a lot of gastrointestinal issues because it is just pretty much just pure carbs and pure sugar, which I want to kind of avoid. And after doing like some research basically into, you know, MREs and all that. They have a lot of high fat, high protein foods as well as high carb foods in order to balance everything out so you have a better chance of not getting the shits. I've also seen opinion pieces that most people like tend to ignore. If they're only thinking about one if they're only thinking about one macronutrient, they tend to ignore the others. So some people will only go for protein and forget about carbs and fat, and some people will only go for carbs and forget about protein and fat and so on. I want to get a good combination of all three to keep energy level high. If all goes well, I will be finishing in anywhere from, if I go at my 300K pace, I will be finishing in 25 hours. And if I go at my 400K pace, I will be finishing in 27 hours, approximately. I would also just like to stop as little as possible to keep on pace. Even if you ride pretty slow, if you keep your stops short and concise, you can still keep a pretty good pace, as mostly what slows you down is stopping and being stopped. Let's see the math. If you didn't stop at all, you could finish the whole thing in 24 hours if you went around 16 miles an hour. And I predict my speed will be about 15 miles an hour, but I will stop. So yeah, about 25 to 27 hours is what I'm shooting for. Alright, so it is the Tuesday after the brevet. Today I am feeling okay. My stomach hurts a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later. But my body is pretty good. I rode around a bit today. I went to work and then rode to the clock tower and all that bullshit. Picked up a couple packages. Let's get started on the main event on Saturday. So the event started at Golden Gate Bridge Plaza. I arrived there around 5:37, 5:38, and checked in and sort of got my shit together. It was already raining at that point. Not too hard, but a little bit on the unpleasant side. My bar end was loose, which made my handlebar tape unravel a little bit, so I fixed that real quick. I don't know. That's like a, what's it called? A foreshadowing moment or something. I don't know, maybe. I saw Zach and Nate and Brian at the start. Zach Morbant is a current pro, sponsored by a few people. He races like track, he races gravel, road, mountain biking, all that shit. He's wicked fast. I asked him how long he was expecting to finish. He said 21 hours compared to my 27 hours. So just to give you an idea of how fast he is. So we rode across the bridge. It was super windy on the bridge and everybody was trying to keep up with Zach. I don't know why, but I was just riding with the Peloton, so I was like, all right, fuck it, we're going fast. We descended down into Sausalito. A bunch of those guys got dropped on the descent on Alexander. and we were rolling through Sausalito on into Camino Alto, and I was able to keep up with Zach and his two buddies from Seattle all the way up Camino Alto, but I just let them go on the descent. I wasn't trying to take any risks this early into the ride, and especially not in the rain. So I trundled along up until Fairfax, and I took a piss behind the mountain bike museum. And as soon as I got finished, the rest of that first main group showed up. I was like, all right, perfect. Hopped on. Still raining. We went up and over Whites and down into Samuel P. Taylor. All good. Up and over into Olima. We saw Zach and the other two guys from Seattle in Point Reyes. We were actually surprised that we saw them. We figured they'd be gone already. I don't know if they went to the wrong gas station or something. But yeah, they were still there when we got there, but they left before us. I didn't see them leave, but they left before us. Maybe it was while I was pissing. And we went on into Petaluma, checkpoint in Petaluma, left Petaluma. And then between Petaluma, somewhere between Petaluma and Santa Rosa, we saw one of the riders from Seattle heading back. We don't know what was happening with him. Maybe he had a mechanical or something, I don't know. On the way back, or on almost into Santa Rosa town limit, one of the stronger riders of our group, Florian, a guy from Austria, he got a flat on his front tire, and that sort of split up the group. We kind of slow rolled all the way into all the way to Healdsburg, and they still hadn't caught up yet, so we said, fuck it, we're gonna go keep right into Cloverdale. We stopped in Cloverdale. 3 of us, there was 5 of us total. 3 of us went to the gas station, and 2 other people went to the McDonald's across the street. Mistake, in my opinion, anyways. And while we were sitting outside eating our food, and we saw the riders that we had left in Santa Rosa passing by, and we yelled after them, hey, hey. They kind of I don't know, they were either fuck you guys for leaving us, or they just didn't hear us, but whatever. So we hopped on our bikes, we chased after them. Nate was kind of pessimistic about catching them, but I knew I had the legs enough to climb up and over the 128 and be able to catch them. I started catching up to the riders close to the Sonoma County, Mendocino County dividing line on the 128, which is also where it descends down into Yorkville or Yorktown and Boonville or something like that. I know it's Boonville. And on the descent, I saw Florian, and I was able to, or just before the descent, I saw Florian, and I was able to catch up to him. But his legs were a little bit too strong. I think they had stopped in Healdsburg and were able to refuel there and have a good enough stop. I just sort of let him go because I knew he was the lead group of that pack and we were all going to stop in Philo. So I just let him go, descended all the way into Boonville and out into Philo. And as I was pulling up on Philo, I looked back and saw the rest of the group behind me. I was like, hey, you want to stop? And they're like, yeah. So we pulled over, everybody regrouped. The fucking volunteers, can't thank them enough. They were so great. They had everything prepared. It was almost to the point where it was annoying. I don't need this much help. You are a wonderful person, but I'm okay. Thank you. We stayed there for about, I don't know, half an hour. A little bit too long for my liking, to be honest. And then we got back onto the road, out to the Mendocino coast. All downhill. There was a little bit of a headwind, but it was super fast riding. Florian took a valiant 25-minute pull. That was really great. This is also where we caught Fergus. If you don't know who Fergus is, Fergus Tanaka, current Masters World Champion track cyclist, really fast guy, also ex-messenger. Also the person who got second in the first ever alley cat that I won. So we caught Fergus. He had started late, I guess, and so he had been taking a lot less stops in order to like try to catch up to people, but that really took a toll on his body. He's really, really fast. I was super surprised that we saw him at all, but it kind of makes sense. If you're going to ride 600 kilometers, you need to stop often in order to like revitalize your body. And so that's why we were able to catch him, but we kind of like, we carried him all the way into Fort Bragg. On the way into Fort Bragg, we saw Zach coming the other way about half an hour of riding ahead of us, which wasn't too bad, but in Fort Bragg, we spent a while there. We kind of split up. We went to like 3 different spots, but we were able to like meet up and sort of regroup successfully. Unlike before, we had a really good tailwind the whole way on the 128 into Philo. And by the time we got there, it was just about getting dark. We stayed there for, I don't know how long, not that long at all. But this is where like shit started to go downhill for me. So I wasn't running a Garmin. I just don't like having all those numbers in front of me. I would just have like a little Timex, or no, it's actually, I had a little Swatch. I have a little Swatch watch that I have in my handlebar bag that I use to just tell the time, and I eat every hour. But since it was dark out and I couldn't see the watch face really, I kind of like forgot about eating. So I had all this food that I had packed and prepared, and I just forgot about eating, which really fucking sucked. We climbed up and over into Cloverdale. I sort of broke away from the pack there. On the climb and on the descent, I was able to like sort of distance myself from them, like not in a, like I didn't want to at that point. I wasn't trying to do a breakaway at that point. I was actually planning on waiting until to see how long Fergus was able to stick with our group, and see if he was like maybe planning to like sort of take the line over the bridge and into Chrissy Field, but he was more on the chill tip. So I just got up and over the 128 down into Cloverdale, and we stopped at a gas station. And because I hadn't been eating and only drinking maltodextrin, like my stomach was like kind of like a little bit weird. And I was searching this gas station up and down for kettle brand chips, and I couldn't find them. So I settled on some fucking like queso ruffles, which I could only eat 2 of before I was completely disgusted. But I looked over at Fergus and Nate, and they had fucking kettle chips. I don't know if they like went to a different gas station or what, but I was like fucking tripping. I was like, how the fuck did these fools get fucking kettle fucking brand chips, and I'm fucking sitting here eating the most processed goddamn chip known to man. So I didn't eat much more. I used the bathroom and we got out of there. The next stop was Healdsburg, and on the way in, like after, like it was probably like 2 or 3 turns on I forget what the road is called before we lost most of the group, and at that point it was me, Florian, Brian Kilgore, and this guy Bill. I can't remember his last name. It was just us 4 all the way into Healdsburg. Got to Healdsburg checkpoint, and then on that fucking there's like in between Healdsburg and Guerneville, there's this like really beautiful road that's like nice and scenic during the day, but there's always a headwind. But there wasn't a headwind this time because it was nighttime. It was nice. We got through there fast and into Guerneville, where I started to bonk. I knew I was bonking about like 2 miles outside of Guerneville because I hadn't eaten any food. Any solid food other than those like 2 fucking queso ruffles since Philo. And fuck, I didn't want to eat any of the food that I had. The banana bread was alright. The rice cakes were good, except for because they had been frozen for so long, the rice was like really crumbly and flaky and it gets stuck in my throat. It was like hard to like eat and breathe and drink all at the same time without it getting fucked up in my throat. And so I just stopped eating at that point, and I slammed my whole 2 bottles of fucking maltodextrin, 190 or 180 carbs down the fucking gullet, like fucking looking like a zombie, and these guys are looking at me like, is he gonna fucking make it? So we leave Guerneville and we're riding along, and then we get to the fucking road to Bohemian Highway. We get to Bohemian Highway to climb up into Occidental, the town of Occidental. And I'm like behind Bill and he's kind of climbing slow, and I just was like, this is too slow for me. I usually climb in the big ring as much as possible, or for as long. I usually climb in the big ring for as long as possible, just because that's my style of riding. And I ended up going ahead. When I got up into Occidental, I looked back. I didn't see them. I like refilled my bottles. I looked back. I still didn't see them. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. Went down into Valley Ford all the way. And like at this point, I was popping NoDoz like fucking Tic Tacs. I probably had at least like 10 of them at this point. So I was really hopped up on caffeine, really hopped up on maltodextrin, and I was like thinking about like all the extra shit I was carrying. Like I had, you know, all like half of my rice cake ration and half of my banana bread ration left, and I was like, I already know I'm not gonna eat this. I'm just fucking pulled over in Valley Ford and like threw it away in a trash can just to make my bike a little bit lighter, because I knew I was only gonna have maltodextrin for the rest of the ride. I was able to refill my bottles in, there's a secret, it's just a secret, there's like a secret water fountain there. I'm not gonna tell you guys where it's at. Refilled my bottles, and then on into Olima. I had a wonderful time riding through there. It was nighttime, it wasn't windy, there was no cars to worry about. I had the whole road to myself. It was, even though it was dark, it was beautiful. There was fucking, you know, cool clouds and shit everywhere. Got into Olima, drank more maltodextrin, and then on into like Central Marin. And then up over the bridge into Chrissy Field. When I got there, Sophie was there to pick me up and help me out. I like switched my clothes right away into my street clothes. I couldn't wait to get out of my kit. And I was so fucking out of it. Like 20 minutes later, fucking Brian, Bill, and Florian roll up, and they're like, "Oh, sick." And I'm just like, I high five one of them. And then we got out of there. We were gonna take the bus home, and then like, that's when I fucking started puking like a motherfucker. Like right before I got on the bus, and then like I had to like hold it in the entire time we were on the bus. And then when we got off the bus, I was just like fucking puking more. All this green and black fucking stomach bile and burnt carbs and shit. And I couldn't stop puking for like 4 hours until Sophie got me some Pepto-Bismol and Dramamine that kind of stopped the exodus of fluids from my body. But at this point, like the damage to like my abdomen from the retching and my throat from the acid of the vomit had already been done, and I was like just feeling like shit. And so I kind of like took it easy the last couple days. And so what we figure happened is because I had literally had not eaten solid food for over 150 miles, save for 2 potato chips. Like I said, your body can't run on just carbs. You need fat and protein in order to balance everything out, in order to avoid that gastrointestinal distress, like puking. I thought it'd be more like on the shitting end, but it was more puking. And so yeah, that's what that is. Fucking do the malto, but also fucking eat. You need to eat. Like, I was hoping it would be like fucking, you know, the magic juice. It can't. You gotta fucking eat food, which sucks. Eating is like one of my pet peeves in life because I spend so much goddamn money on food. I love eating food, but it costs so much money and it takes a lot of time and it's kind of exhaustive. So for conclusion, the bike worked fucking great. The bottom bracket felt great. The chain felt great. I do think my derailleur hanger is a little bit bent. I was having like some trouble spots in a couple of gears, but I didn't develop any saddle sores or numb hands at all. I didn't even wear gloves for half of it because they were too wet. Clothes felt fine. I wore my EDD Seekly kit. We have the bibs with the ultra thick endurance pad, summer light jersey, thick wintry jersey, and then vest over that, and then on top my Gore rain shell and some gloves and booties. That kind of worked, but not really. Yeah, the nutrition was off. I would do the maltodextrin again. I would just have to like figure out a way to get myself to eat every hour. This does mean I'm fully PvP qualified. I'm still gonna do an R12 as well. I'm not sure if I have the money to make it over to PvP. If I did, a Charlie Miller time I do think would be a possibility if I trained a lot and, you know, got my nutrition spot on. However, it is like, it would be a lofty goal. And I would definitely need, like, you know, some support, basically a support carb, which is allowed in PvP, which I think is kind of crazy. Yeah, I would need like some sort of support, both like moral and like physical support. One last thing is riding in the rain. Fucking put some fucking fenders on your bike, dude. Like, you're gonna be drier and the guy behind you is gonna be drier. there was probably half the people that I was riding with didn't have fenders at all, and then the people that did have fenders, no one had fucking mud flaps on their shit. So I was just getting fucking sprayed with everybody's nasty fucking groundwater the entire time. They're like just trying to like stay out of their way, and then like everybody would want to ride behind me because I got the fucking mud flaps. I do think that contributed a little bit to me getting sick, to be honest. What was it? 26 hours, 8 minutes total time, and then like 22 hours, 51 minutes ride time. The last time I did this brigade, it was like 26 hours and 32 minutes of ride time. So I did the entire event faster this time than the amount of time that I was riding last time, if that makes sense. And I personally feel I was in a lot better shape back then. So things that matter are bike fit, fueling, and cojones, or confidence. Be confident, have pride in yourself, but not too much. Don't be a fucking dickhead. There's always gonna be a Zach Norvant to finish the whole event in 22 hours.